When we simplify a rational expression, it's important to recognize that the numerator and denominator must be factored before any kind of dividing can occur. And we will probably remember that the numerator of an expression like that is what's known as a difference of squares, and factors to 3 minus x times 3 plus x. That can be checked by multiplying it back by using FOIL. The denominator is x plus 3. And now what's called canceling and probably more mathematically dividing can be done for factors that are the same value. And if we just think about it, for any possible value of what x is, both x plus 3 and 3 plus x are the exact same number, so those factors divide out to be 1, and I'll be thorough and make that say 1 over 1. So for a final result there, we obtain the expression 3 minus x, and if somebody's wishing to write it in a standard form with the highest power of x first, it could be also written as negative x plus 3. Now I've changed the problem just a little bit. The numerator will still be factored as 3 minus x times 3 plus x, and the denominator is x minus 3. The critical thing to recognize here is that the expressions 3 minus x and x minus 3 are not the same value. They're related, but they're not the same value. If x is, say, 2, we can see that 3 minus 2 is 1 and 2 minus 3 is negative 1. Likewise, it doesn't matter what the value of x is. The two expressions are the same value, simply opposite. 3 minus 12 is negative 9, and 12 minus 3 is positive 9. So the simplest way to look at this is to recognize that 3 minus x and x minus 3 are the opposite value. When those divide, we don't get 1. We get negative 1, so we can write that as negative 1 divided by 1. And then collecting what we have left in our rational expression, we have a factor of negative 1, and then another factor of 3 plus x. And then in the denominator, we have a 1, which I'm not going to bother to write. So that's a perfectly fine way to write the answer. One could multiply out the negative 1 and write negative 3 minus x if they wished, and that would be a perfectly acceptable answer. As a kind of a fun little self-quiz or a little thought experiment to see if you're good at recognizing opposite expressions, I've written 4 little simple fractions ready to be simplified if possible, and the idea is there a relationship between the numerator and denominator in each of these. If they're the same value for any values of the variables, they'll divide out to be 1. So, anyway, in this first case, if the A is 5 and the B is 3, we can hopefully see concretely that 5 plus 3 is 8 and 5 minus 3 is 2, and they happen to have a relationship, but the relationship would not be the same if it was 15 and 3. 15 plus 3 is 18, and 15 minus 3 is 12. So we can see that there is no way to simplify A plus B divided by A minus B. They aren't opposites. They aren't the same number. Hopefully, we recognize that A plus B, the numerator, and B plus A, the denominator, are the same value for any possible values of A and B. So, in fact, the numerator and the denominator do divide out to be 1. And to be very thorough, I'll show that as 1 divided by 1, which is 1. In this expression, let's see, 5 take away 3, 3 take away 5. Those are opposite each other. And there are some other ways to show this, but we can recognize that situation where the numerator and denominator are always opposite, no matter what the values of A and B are, and they will divide out to be negative 1. And again, to be thorough, I'll write that as negative 1 over 1, which divides out to be negative 1. For this final one, let's take a look at this. You have 5 plus 3 in the numerator and negative 5. Subtract 3, it's 8 divided by negative 8, and sure enough, those expressions are opposite each other. They will divide out to be negative 1 divided by 1, which is negative 1. So for the 4 original expressions that we had on this page, only this first expression, a plus b divided by a minus b, could not possibly be simplified. Okay, hope that helps. Go see your teacher for some more practice exercises if you feel like you need some more practice. Thanks a lot for watching this.